Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Daniel and I run a web shop that's called Nordic Anglers where you can buy all the materials for this fly. Today we're going to tie a salmon fly, and this basically is a new salmon fly. This is a salmon fly that I have just invented, and it's a salmon fly that is the essence, the distilled thoughts and ideas about a lot of the other different salmon flies that I have had great experiences with over some years, and also some of the elements from other highly successful flies. So I have tried to create a pattern here for the early salmon that really just have all the things that I know salmons love. So it's called the caught Jester, or just in short, just the Jester, and I'm going to show you exactly how to tie this. And as always, you can buy the full material kit for this fly in my webshop Nordic Anglers. Here goes. Now we're going to tie the caught Jester. Now we're ready. Let's go. The first thing we do is take one of these 1.8 millimeter tubes in clear, and then I melt it down so I have something for the so the end here is not abrupt and will not in any way have any chance of cutting off my leader. Then I attach my tying thread. I'm gonna use a black one this time. That's perfectly suited, but everything is gonna be covered with the variation of beads and cone heads. So it's as long as you're using a thread that you think is nice and strong enough and durable, then that's perfect. Then the first thing I'm gonna tie down is some Mirage tinsel in opal. And I'm going to use this to create a small tag on the fly here. So basically I tie it just directly on top of the tube, and then all the way back and then up again. There we go. I like the VISES GSP thread. It's really strong, it's really durable, and it performs really well. So the first thing we need is a fairly large brown rooster hackle. This fly is gonna have all of the components that I believe the most in for fishing salmon. So I have simply composed this fly in my head, and this is gonna be the one I'm gonna use on the opening day. And I have tried to make a fly with all the different things that have in the past been the things that has caught me the most fish. So it has all of the different components combined into one fly of all the materials that I love and use the most. So this is basically a fly that is designed from all the flies that I have caught a lot of salmon on over the years. So it has some of the elements of the tilde. It has some of the elements of my friend's Easy. It has some of the elements of Bo's Rubber Rocket. So it has basically all the best attributes. It combines all the best attributes of all the flies that have been successful for me over the years, and I came up with this in my head and decided I just had to make a tying video of this pattern, and as I said, it's called the Jester. I like that name, and I even tried to Google the Jester fly to see if I could actually find another fly that had that name, and nothing turned up on my Google search, at least. So I like that as well. I like that the idea of this caught Jester, which basically was back in the old days, was kind of the only one who could actually, without being too afraid of losing his life, was the only one who could actually make fun of the king. And so that is also kind of what I want with this fly. I want something that can mock, that can taunt, that can tease the salmon, I hope at least, and provoke it into actually taking the fly. So I just added some eyes here. This was the Pro, no, not Pro, but Easy shrimp eyes in their smaller sizes, their new small size that fits this fly really well. So I added those to the fly here. And these again will make some contrast, make a fixating point that is really fluorescent. There we go. And then I'm gonna add another thing of the materials that over the years has just proven itself, and that is these boar bristles. So the boar bristles here is something from that is really used a lot on a fly like the Francis, or my own faster version that is called the France Easy, and I'm gonna add 4 of these, so they are gonna be a bit longer than the actual hackle here, and they're gonna be pointing in every which direction. The thing about these are they are really just really stiff. And I had a long time trying to figure out why that made them so good, because they do not add any movement whatsoever to a fly pattern. And then I talked to I was doing a live stream, and some of the people who watched the live stream suggested that perhaps it is exactly why they are so great. It's because they are so stiff, because these will keep absolutely dead calm in the water, and will in this regard basically interfere with all the current, and will make the fly stand out and be easily detected by the fish due to their sideline organ that basically registers when the current changes. So fish can navigate even in low light conditions, and these probably stimulate that sense quite a lot in a fish. That is at least the best explanation I've ever heard for why a material this stiff should actually be such a successful part of so many great salmon and sea trout flies. So I tied 4 of these around the hook. So these have an angle. Basically, ideally you want them in a 90-degree angle from one another. But mainly the most important thing is that they are there and they're slightly longer than the hackle. The next thing is something that I had great success with last year, and that was adding orange rubber legs to some of my flies. A buddy of mine, Bo Frier, made a fly called the Rubber Rocket, which the first time I saw him use it, he caught a really big and nice salmon on a trip where we were both fishing, and he was fishing on the part of the river where I have the access. So he was on basically on a. He was along with me as a friend, so even though the quota was still open, because he was only a guest, he was not allowed to take that salmon. So that was of course really nice as well. So he released it, and then the day after he fished his own water in the same system and caught yet another salmon. So last year, and the salmon he caught there with the rubber legs, the Rubber Rocket, was in our 5th. We fished a particular stretch of the river, and I had fished it 3 times, and he had fished it 2 times, and on his third walk down the bank and fishing this river, he changed to the Rubber Rocket, and then he caught a salmon. I don't know if that salmon just entered the river or if the fly really truly did make the difference, but it's something to think about, because last year I caught my biggest salmon yet on the Rubber Rocket, and again it was on my third way down across the river, on that same stretch that I managed to get a very nice salmon as well. So perhaps the rubber legs are magical. I believe that they are kind of magical, and you know, when you're doing all you can with your rod, and you know, you're fishing well, and you know your fly is in the right depth and stuff, then the only thing you can actually change is the pattern you're fishing with. So I think probably the size of the fly is a bit more important than the actual particular pattern when you're fishing for salmon, but the pattern is the only thing. Then if you know you're doing everything else as optimal as you can, then it's the only thing you can actually you can spice up and you can change. So it's really important, for me at least, to have a pattern. I just took some crystal flash here, added it to the fly, tried to get it so it's gonna cover, not gonna be completely evenly distributed. You could do that with, you know, if tying down the individual strands, but that is just a bit too time consuming for me. And then I'm gonna turn it over and tie it down again, so I have a bit more flash here. There we go. But the fly is basically the easiest thing to change when you're on the river, and it is, well, for me at least, it is a fact that if I'm fishing with a fly that I believe strongly in, then I will fish better. I will take more care with my casting. I will take more care of the different things that are going around, that are happening around me, the slightly changes in whatever, and this makes me a more gives me a higher chance of success. So if you're fishing with something that you truly believe is a game changer and will make a difference, then the chances are that particular thing you have changed will make a difference and will be a game changer. So I always take great care in selecting the fly that I'm going to use on any given day, and this one, it just has all the components that I believe strong that I really strongly believe in. So I'm going to take my Smain dubbing twister, and if you haven't seen these, then they are just absolutely awesome, because they are so easy to get your to open and close your dubbing loop. The way you mount these is you open, then you put them inside, then you catch one side, and then you can catch the other side with the other loop. Then it's going to be caught here, down here, in kind of like a vise, and then you can open the dubbing loop really easy. I'm gonna take some extremely fluorescent and hot orange dubbing here. This is the semi-seal dubbing from Spawn, one of my all-time favorite dubbings as well. And I'm gonna I made the dubbing loop a bit too long. Kind of ruined the whole idea of this main here, but yeah, there we go. I need to pull some of this a bit further back. There we go. Spinning my dubbing. And taking care not to catch any of the hackles, the hackle fibers or the rubber legs inside my dubbing loop here. There is a bit too much dubbing, so I'm just going to remove some of this. There we go. And then I'm gonna make my dubbing body. And I like to use a dubbing loop for this part of the fly, because it will make it will make a lot of dubbings easy to scratch out, and it will give the overall impression of the fly here of a bit shaggy and ragged looking lower segment of the body here. The first segment of the body here will be more woolly and transparent, but at the same time will make the fly have the right expression. Cutting that away. I needed a dubbing needle. I don't have one of those. There we go. Just gonna tease out some of the dubbing here. There we go. Perfect. Then I'm gonna take another brown hackle, and this next brown hackles I'm gonna use one that is slightly shorter, just to give it the right tapering effect. This the finished fly here, but still a fairly large one, because I want this fly to be not the smallest of flies, but a fairly large fly. It is early in the season, and of course later on in the season I can make a version of this that perhaps do not have. Perhaps I could basically cut out one of the sections here, and have a smaller fly that has some of the same properties. I'm gonna try to look into how I can do that, because if this fly is as good as I think it will be, then I guarantee you I'm gonna have a lot of different variations of this, and also a lot of different sizes. It's been a while since I've been this excited about a new pattern, I must say, Stefan.
I can tell.
Yeah, I really am. I really am excited about this. There we go. I'm gonna make a whip finish, because now it's time to place the weight of the fly, to give this fly, to force this fly to start fishing immediately as soon as it hits the water. And for that, the Pro Flexi beads in 5.2 millimeters are ideally suited. So I'm gonna take one of those in black. Just gonna add a bit of Sabagap. It will also force the hackle a bit down, which also is something that makes the fly look the right way. There we go. I'm gonna take the flexi bead here. It looks awesome. Can't wait to get this fly swimming. That's gonna be awesome. And then for the finishing touch, I'm gonna add another hackle, but this time in black. Again, as I said, it combines a lot of the different things from a lot of different great patterns. The overall color scheme here is also a color scheme, the brown and the orange and the black, of another very famous salmon fly that's called the Patagova, something like that. One of the flies that Frodin has really been fishing a lot with, and made quite famous, and with good reason, because it's just an awesome pattern. So again, I try to combine all of the things that I believe in and know works into basically this one fly. I don't see how I cannot catch a salmon on this, Stefan. I think I've talked myself into a frenzy. I think I should maybe you know, I'm almost shaking with the anticipation of starting the salmon season now.
Well, I guess that's
we're going salmon fishing in 2 days. Oh, well, basically we're doing a casting video, but there is salmon in the river where we're gonna do that. So, you know,
you have a chance.
There's
always
it's
a chance.
slim, but there is always as long as your fly is in the water and the fly is this fly, then you have a chance. No, fun aside, you know what I mean, but that's just me. I tend to get a bit excited about stuff, if you hadn't noticed, but well, you know, why not get excited? At least that's my point of view. So, gonna make the whip finish. And never mind if the hackle just is a bit everywhere, because we're gonna add a cone head to this cone head in size X small. That is basically gonna force the hackle a bit down again. Just add a bit of Sabagap, also to make the fly more sturdy and durable. but the head part here is going to be covered by the cone head as well. So it's gonna be strong and durable. I just need to force this there. So there you go, the finished Jester, seen from above. Just have everything, you know. It just has everything you ever need for a salmon fly. And perhaps, you know, perhaps this is exactly the one. And that's what I love about fly tying, you know. Every single time I finish a good fly, I pick up the fly in my hand and then I say, perhaps it's this one that's gonna get me the big one. And of course not all of them do, but every now and then, you know, a fly that has been through your hands, that you've sat down at your tying bench and just meticulously spent the time creating and making, just every now and then one of these. There's probably one sitting in your box right now. One of the flies that you have in your box right now is probably the one that's gonna really put an enormous smile on your face and make your whole week, perhaps even your whole year. So remember that. Here it is, the finished fly, the Jester. I'm really pleased with this, and I can guarantee you that this fly is going to be the first one on my leader as soon as the salmon rivers open. So as always, you can find the complete material kit for this fly and all the other flies here on our YouTube channel in our web shop. It's called Nordic Anglers, and we have just an outrageous amount of fly tying and fly fishing equipment in general. So if you haven't done so already, please swing by Nordic Anglers, and also please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. That would mean a lot to us. And well, basically I think that's it for now. I can't wait to get this into the water. I'm a bit excited. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best of luck out on the water.